Okay, so we can start. Okay. Um, Hi everyone. My name is Sonia, and um, we're the Youth Advocates team, which is basically a student-run nonprofit by former pages. Um, so yeah, I was a 2023 House page for District 34 under Delegate Murphy, and I'm also one of the founders of Youth Advocates Initiative. And then also Delegate Glass, do you want to introduce yourself really quick before?
Yes, so I'm Delegate Glass, new 18 months on the job, and I'm just a page fan all around.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maggie. I'm a co-founder of Youth Advocates Initiative as well as the COO. I was a 2023 House page for Delegate Wiley.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm a 2022 House page for Delegate Sullivan, and I'm also the co-founder and chief media officer for Youth Advocates Initiative.
Hi everyone, my name is Danny Rayleigh and I'm a former 2023 House page from District 64. I represented the district that Delegate Brewer represents, and I'm also the co-founder and outreach officer of Youth Advocates Initiative.
I don't think JT is here yet, but he'll be here in a bit, so we'll have him introduce himself later.
Hi everyone, my name is Naomi. I was a 2022 House page, and I served under Delegate Tran, who represents House District 42. And this year I also served as one of the head pages for the House page class of 2023.
And then Sophia's also going to be a little bit late, but she's a Senate page, and she'll introduce herself later as well. So basically, in the meeting, we're going to first talk about the different Virginia page programs. There's the Senate one, and also the House of Delegates one. And then we're going to have a few former pages talk about their experiences and what it was like to be a page. And then we're going to talk about our nonprofit and how we can help you apply for the page program. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A session with the former pages and some of the delegates. Okay, so basically the Virginia Page Program is a program for pages to work during the Virginia General Assembly, and the Virginia General Assembly convenes through January through March, and it involves delegates and senators from all over the Commonwealth who come together to make bills and laws for our Commonwealth. So there are 100 delegates who get elected and 40 senators who get elected from each district across the state, and they come together to make decisions and laws to make our Commonwealth a better place. So it's kind of like the House of Representatives and the Senate for our Congress in DC, but instead it's the state level, which is in Richmond, Virginia's capital. And the program lasts 9 weeks, so you really get like a deep dive on Virginia's government. You also get to meet over 140 lawmakers and officials who are working in action and live. And then you'll also meet over 30 other students and peers who have the same interests as you, and who just share your passion for government and politics. And then the program has been standing since 1850, and I believe Virginia is one of the only states who does a program like this for so long, which is really cool. And then, Michelle, do you want to talk about the House page?
Yeah, so the House page program helps delegates, legislators, and staff during their busiest time of year, which is during the General Assembly from January to March. And for the 2024 session, it's going to be like 60 days because it's an even number year compared to odd number years, which is like 45 days. Some jobs that House pages do include answering phone calls, running errands, delivering files, opening and closing chamber doors, and helping out delegates during their time at the Capitol. So this is a sample day in the life of a House page. So every morning, pages usually wake up around 6 a.m., but some wake up at 7 a.m. depending on your sleep schedule. You arrive to work at 8:30, and once you arrive to the page room, the head pages will have morning announcements, and then you'll receive your tasks to do or get sent to your jobs depending on the week. At your jobs, you will check in hourly with your supervisor and to see if you need to do anything. And you will have lunch in the middle of the day, depending upon which team you're on. So pages are into 2 different teams. One of them works for the delegates on the floor. All the other one works at the individual departments and their jobs. You eat with your team, then you return back to your jobs after lunch. At this time, the other team goes to the chamber, which is where all the delegates convene every day at noon to go to the main session. And they work until the session is usually over, unless they run super long. Once you return to your jobs, you will stay there for the rest of the day till it's time to head back to the page room. You get off work at around 5 o'clock, and then once you talk with your supervisors, your head pages, and the coordinators, you go back to the hotel. Then you have dinner, and then you have study hall from 7 to 9, and then you go to sleep, and you start the whole process over again for 9 weeks. So this is a Senate page program. I'm not a Senate page, but I can kind of talk about it. The Senate page program is also is kind of like this, a lot like the House program, and includes like running errands for senators, opening and closing chamber doors, distributing calendars and file and copying bills. They're basically just like right across the hall from the House chambers. So even though we're working for different departments, it's a lot of the same things that we do. Benefits of being a Senate page, and this also incorporates into being a House page as well. You learn a lot of responsibility. This is really crucial because you have to live independently, know how to be on top of your schoolwork, and also balance work and school and making sure on top of all of your work. You are also able to create a lot of connections and friendships, not only across with your peers, but with lawmakers, and be able to learn how the government works and to be able to have a lot of memories. And you also are able to meet with a lot of leaders, such as the Speaker of the House, all of the delegates and senators. Sometimes we get to have special field trips, which around the Capitol, like House pages, we usually visit the War Memorial, and we also get to meet the governor. And leadership is also a big component where we are developing the leaders of tomorrow and being able to work not only with your peers, but also having a relationship and knowing how to talk with your supervisor and being able to do the schoolwork and connecting with your teachers as well. Professional development is also an educational time for Senate pages, which include field trips, team building, journal writing, guest speakers, and group discussion assignments. For House pages, we do a lot of the same things. We all go on field trips. The biggest one is definitely the basketball game, which is a fundraiser. It's just like a basketball game, but fundraises for cancer. And it is definitely like one of the biggest events House pages and Senate pages go to. They cheer on the delegates and senators as they play against each other in basketball game. We also have guest speakers as well, and we have different speakers come in to talk about different skills, such as like financing, or setting goals for yourselves, and making sure like time management, etc. So these are the things that Senate pages have said about their time here at the Capitol. It's definitely, for personally as well, it's definitely something that you remember for a long time. And it's also really interesting because once you come back and then you go into like other sessions, you're still like continue to be interested in what they do at the Capitol. It makes you more interested in our government, and it makes you think about more how the laws that they do and the laws they pass and the bills they pass in Richmond kind of affects your local communities, even though sometimes it's hard to realize that they actually do. But when you really think about it, it really does. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the application process and how you can get involved.
Okay. Danny, do you want to talk about the application requirements?
Sure. So to be able to apply to the Virginia PAGE program, you have to be 13 or 14 years old by January 10th of 2024, and you have to be a resident of Virginia. So you have to have an essay with no more than 300 words of why you wanted to be selected as a House page if you wanted to go that route, or if you wanted to be a Senate page, you have to have 2 essays. You may choose between prompt options. You have to have a recent color headshot photo and a signed guardian and school form authorizing your stay, and a letter of recommendation from your district representative only for House pages. You have to be very committed. The PAGE program requires hotel residency from Sunday evening to Friday at noon during the duration of the legislative session, which is from January 10th to March 9th this year, and pages must complete schoolwork asynchronously during this time. And now,
So now we'll talk about the impact. Sorry. So we're going to talk about the impacts and benefits of becoming a page and serving as a page. So by joining the program, you can make statewide connections with both delegates, senators, and other staff who work during the General Assembly. And you can also create bonds with other pages who you'll have lifelong friendships with for the rest of your life. And then you'll also get experience working. And so since that most pages are between the ages of 13 and 14, you're obviously working, like you're obviously younger than when most people get their first jobs. And so it gives you like an experience of how you should act when you first start working. And it also gives you a feel of how to create a resume. And then, you also get community service by working as a House and Senate page. Both programs do a lot of community service work, and these can be logged as service hours for your school and other activities. And so the House, we will do we'll do transcriptions for like World War II texts or like other old texts from a while back that need transcribing, and then those hours we can use to log for school. And then even after the program, you get exposed to several other opportunities. By doing like the page program, you can put it on on your resume, and then you can also put it on like other applications for other internships and programs, which can really help you and it'll look really impressive on other applications. And then here are some quotes from some of the House pages about their experience after the program. Danny and Maggie.
changing experience that amplified my knowledge and created a deep passion in the political field.
For me, the House Page program, I at first just thought it would be really an amazing time to be able to go live in Richmond with some other kids who are like as interested in politics and like education, just learning as much as they can. But it was so much more than I ever could have expected, and I met the most amazing people.
We have Naomi on right now. She was a page in 2022, and she was also head page for 2023. So she's going to talk a little bit about her experience of being a page for 2 years.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So like Sonia said, I was a House page in 2022. And then I was also selected to serve as the head page for 2023. And just for like some background about the role. So only the House Page program has head page pages. The Senate pages they're only able to serve one term as a page. But if you get selected as a House Page to come back, then you can serve 2 terms. But and the application process is different. So usually it's not on like the regular submission portal, and they only choose one of the girls and then one of the guys from the previous year's class. So me and then my friend Brennan Hunt, we were both selected to be the head pages. And definitely, I would say that it was a very rewarding experience. I I think people like think apply for it that you're just going back and you're doing the same thing again, but it's completely different and you actually have a lot more responsibility. So as a regular page, I would say you're learning more leadership and collaboration skills especially from the leadership program you do as a page. They have a curriculum, and also by watching delegates in the House Chamber. But as head page, it's sort of like your first opportunity to display the leadership skills that you learned as a regular page in a serious work environment. So basically, just like basic, I guess, roles of the head page is you are basically just in charge of all the pages at work and at the hotel. So at work, you manage one of the page teams, which is made up of usually like half the pages that you have. And within your team, you have to train them for floor duties. You have to assign them for jobs or in the different house clerk's office departments, and then also train them for those specific jobs. You have to make schedules for your pages for floor shifts, and then you also have to supervise them at lunch. At the hotel, it's a little bit more lenient. You really just act as a second set of eyes and ears for the hotel chaperones. You take attendance at City Hall, and you also do room checks at the end of the day and make announcemements. But also it's like an opportunity to bond with your pages and like get to know them better as from peer or friend aspect. There's also special jobs that head pages are assigned to do, such as we write the House Page resolution, which is something we read out loud in front of the entire House clerk's office staff, plus the delegates on our last day of work. An opportunity that I got to do with Brennan is that we got to interview the First Lady of Virginia and ask her some questions. We also helped pick Page of the Week, which is a special award that's given to the page that the page class thinks goes above and beyond for that week. So we don't pick them, but we read through the nominations from other pages and we make the final decision on who gets the award. And yeah, we were also just there to act as like a mentor figure for the pages, because being a page it's really fun and really rewarding, but it's also really difficult at times. So we also acted as sort of a support system for them. And yeah, I think, yeah, that just covers basically the basics of what I did. I would definitely say that head page it's a really difficult role because you have to put a lot of commitment into it. And especially if you do sports like I do, it's definitely harder, but most of the time it's just like a really rewarding experience, and I'm so grateful that I did it. And I'm just glad I was able to come back for a second year and get to meet more people and make more connections.
Okay, thank you, Naomi. Okay, now we're going to talk about Youth Advocates Initiative, which is the nonprofit that we all started to help pages get into the program. Let me just, okay. So Maggie's going to talk about the program, or our nonprofit.
we're Youth Advocates Initiative. We call it YAI for short. And we are just a group of pages who want to help other students in Virginia know about the PAGE program because, I mean, me personally, nobody in my area knew about the PAGE program at all. And I just found it online, and then I found out how amazing it was. And so we want to be able to share with other kids so they can know how they can get to the point where we got and how they can have one of the best experiences of their lives. Our mission is to educate, expand, and empower. It's our little slogan. We also have a couple more mission statements on our website, which is on the bottom in this banner right here. And our email is also there for any questions. So we're student run, and we help Virginians who are interested in law, government, politics, all of those sorts of things. We want to increase accessibility for people who like underrepresented students who are underrepresented or have like less connections to be able to get to where they need to get to be able to be a page. And we really hope that we can turn their fantasies into realities. So our YAI pages have a mentorship program where you can sign up to be like coached on your application or like frequently asked questions. So if you need a page to be able to tell you what you're going into, like say you get into the PAGE program and you're like, oh my goodness, like what am I going to do? And you're really stressed out, YAI pages can help you. We'll help you find other programs that you could get into if you don't get into the PAGE program or if you want to continue your interest in politics, government, law. We can help edit your essays, and we can also help like teach you about the government so that when you get into the House chamber, you can understand who's who and what they're doing and how they can impact you and your fellow Virginians. So our first project as a nonprofit is the Virginia PAGE programs, as you've probably guessed. And it's just the same stuff that I've been talking about. And we want to help kids apply and help them like contact their delegates or even like help with campaigns and everything, anything under the sun relating to these like topics. Our formal pages can help you walk through your application step by step so that you can submit everything we do is completely free. We're a nonprofit organization, and we just want to help people. And we are willing to volunteer our time, our brains, and we're always happy to help you. We have pages from all over Virginia. I'm located in Winchester. We have a bunch of people in Fairfax, a few in Charlottesville, and then all the way down to Southern Virginia, Abington, Southampton, and a few in Richmond, where the PAGE program takes place. Feel free to contact us at any time. We have our email on the screen. We have Instagram, DMs, and there's our QR code for our Linktree with our Google Forms and our website.
Okay, and then, so yeah, that was a little bit about our organization. So you guys can scan the QR code and it'll bring you to our Linktree, which basically just like what Maggie said, has our website, Google Forms that you can use to sign up for meetings with any of the pages. And also, if you have any questions, you guys can send it to our website, Instagram, email, any of those will work. Also, so Michelle is a former 2022 page, and so she served during the COVID year, so she'll talk about how her experience was a little bit different from the rest of us.
Yeah, so I was a 2022 House page. So I worked under Delegate Sullivan. I actually learned about the PAGE program like pretty late, close to the application deadline, but when I went to Richmond, it was a really good experience. So yeah, as Sonia said, this was during it was like when schools were just opening for that year, so masks were still mandated. And during the time in Richmond, it was really interesting to see bills being passed relating to COVID, as well as just in general how COVID kind of played an effect into the General Assembly, one thing that really surprised me, like going into the program, I definitely was not sure what to expect, but when I was able to go in the chamber and see the delegates interact with each other, one thing that really surprised me was how much bipartisanship there was, and how even though people had different viewpoints and obviously where some people were not on the same party, they still collaborated on a lot of bills. Like a lot of bills were bipartisan, and a lot of bills were like people were able to reach across the aisle and be able to collaborate, which is something you don't really see on like media or TV, where a lot of times that can get kind of like skewed in a way where people think like Democrats and Republicans, like they are not like they don't like they kind of fight with each other a lot. But honestly, when going to the General Assembly and being able to see that in person, you can really see the collaboration that comes between each other. And I think that was something that really that's like really impacted me and my perspective on politics, and being able to know that even though people have different viewpoints, we can all come together and still try to make the best of what we have. Another thing that I learned was working with a supervisor and being able to maintain relationships with my teachers back at school, even though I wasn't able to see them every day. That's something I definitely learned how to communicate with teachers, especially through email and online. Um, and also being able to have time management, since study hall is only 2 hours a night. So something that I got taught during the PAGE program was dealing with schoolwork and being able to use the resources around me to make sure I was staying on top of my schoolwork. I also made a lot of friends and was able to have a lot of connections. And another thing I learned during the PAGE program was money management, because something I didn't never really like stayed away, like went away from home. I never did sleepaway camp or anything like that. But this PAGE program was a great experience on learning how to manage my own money, being able to set goals for myself, and being able to know how much I'm spending, and being able to balance that, like kind of school, work, and life kind of balance. So I think it was a really good experience overall. Overall, I had a really good experience. I still keep in touch with my delegate, and I really love seeing like being able to help out in my local community. Even though the PAGE program is over, I still love being able to talk about the PAGE program, Virginia General Assembly, with anyone, and it's a really fun topic for me to kind of rant about sometimes. So yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. And then one of the Senate pages, Sophia, she just joined, so she's going to talk a little bit about how the Senate and House programs are a little bit different and like there's similarities and differences. And then she's also going to talk about what it was like for her after she finished doing the program.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sophia, and I'm going to be basically talking about what's different from the House and the Senate PAGE program, because they're really, really different. So one of the major differences is obviously one you work for the House, one where you work for the Senate. But another big thing is, as a Senate PAGE, we have a thing called professional development, which is basically like an educational part of being a page. I consider it like a Senate PAGE class. So basically, we would obviously have our full day of work, and then we would have a thing called professional development, and it was like we had homework every night. Is we learned about the different branches of the government. I remember we had to learn we learned a lot about we had a bunch of guest speakers, like we had former pages come and talk to us. We had people from local businesses. A lot of the senators came and talked to us in the morning, and some like in the afternoon. We had people from the DMV. We had there was a Senate page from a few years back. He was elected official, like the first, like the youngest elected official I think in Virginia to be elected at like 20, I think. And so that was one of the main differences. And also, something different from the House and Senate page is everywhere we went, we had to always wear business casual. So if you would see us out to eat or anything, we'd always be in business casual. Um, so that was kind of the main differences, I could say. And also, we had more stricter rules, I could say. Um, I think one of the rules that was kind of strict was the way we walked in the chamber. So we had a certain walking route we had to do. So we were never allowed to walk in front of the senator's desk. And we had a whole training day on it. We had about 2 days of training, and we would have to like walk in the center or like in the outsides or in the alleys, but we were never allowed to walk in front of the senator's desk. But my experience with the page was amazing, and I really wish I could do it again, but I obviously can't because I'm too old and I can't do it. You can't also there's not a head page in the Senate page program, and so there's an opportunity for people to come back that are 13, and when they're 14 they can come back as a house page as a head page, but we don't have that as Senate pages. Some cool opportunities that I had after the page program. I got to be a guest speaker at my local middle school and talk to a civics class about the PAGE program with my Senator Hackworth, who appointed me, which I thought was super cool. It's also opened up a lot of doors to a bunch of different programs and different things. I got interviewed by the local newspaper as well for being a Senate page, which was super cool. I was in a newspaper 3 times for me being a Senate page. Um, and it just opened a bunch of doors, and it's a really good conversation starter when you're talking about it. So I really, really enjoyed my time as a Senate page. And I hope everyone applying tries out both programs or applies to both because it's such an amazing program that really changes your perspective on government and everything else. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Sophia. Do any of the delegates want to add anything or talk about what it's like to work with with the pages? Oh, sorry, Delegate Class, I think you're muted.
I am. I said I'm going to keep you with me if that's okay, as a support, emotional support, because that's what it's like working, at least for me, working with the pages. And I sit in a seat in the chamber in the House where my seat is directly next to where the pages do their business. And it's really helpful, one, to have the curiosity in the room. I think it's good that I'm being hyper aware that there are young people in the space at all times. You'd like to think that'll make the adults behave a little bit better. At least we think so. But they're resourceful in more ways than not. So as a page, you guys they're 13 and 14 years old. As I get older, I get way out of touch with things that are happening in the world. So it's a great time to connect with the younger generation to kind of hear what's happening and their point of view on the work that we're doing. They're an asset because sometimes I can't get up out of my seat. Sometimes, there are things that we need from our offices, and they're there and willing and ready to help at a moment's notice. And so I think the best part is the relationships that I think we get to build as a delegate, just seeing a constant wave. And I've only been doing this for 18 months, but from 1 year to the next, just being able to get a new set of Virginians that I look at their faces and like, one of these people are going to be a delegate one day or whatever. Just the process of being able to see you all work and work with us, because you don't work for us. I don't feel like pages work for us. They work with us, and they're just a huge part of getting our day started, from just getting a calendar. They just getting us a calendar to make sure that we know what we're talking about from day to day, or can sort of plan our lives. And working with IT, there's just so many, I think the pages can attest, there's so many different ways that they are a support arm, and they're working to do the people's business. They are a part of our what makes Virginia go. But they're a huge asset. So I hope that you all, whoever is out there in the ether, take advantage of the fact that this group has stepped up and provided a service, not only just put their experience out, but provided a service to hopefully get some of you a competitive edge to sit in that bench next to us, to be able to run and get our stacks, or keep us up to date, or get the things that we left in our office, or the things that we need. It's really amazing. So thank you. And I know Delegate Sewell was trying to pop on, but she's not in yet.
Okay, thank you so much, Delegate Glass. Yeah, sometimes session gets really long for us, and so when we're sitting on the bench, Delegate Glass will sometimes like talk to us, and it'll just make sessions seem shorter. Um, okay, so now we'll do like a Q&A session, and so if anyone has any questions, they can put it like in the chat, and we can answer them.
You guys did get a comment from a Barrett Hicks who says, "Congrats to Mr. Tucker from Berkeley. He was the first Black male page." That was a comment that you received. I don't see any questions yet. Can I ask you guys a question that I wonder about? I think one of you said that you filled out your form really close to the deadline. How much time do you think you had to invest to get an application in? Like, was it like, all right, this will take me like 2 weeks to get it done? Or like, what's that like?
I can talk a little bit about that. Oh, Danny, Danny, do you want to go?
I didn't know if you heard her. I was going to let her know that I think that you said that.
Oh yeah. I can talk a little bit about that. So my mom learned about the program through our school board like representative, and she was putting that in her newsletter, and she thought it was a really good opportunity. So that's how I learned about the program, but it was like really close to deadline, so like maybe October like 10th or so. So like I emailed my delegate. I'll turn in the application, and then I emailed my delegate because I was gonna meet with him before he wrote me a recommendation letter. So we met at like a Starbucks, and it was a really good experience. He was my delegate Sylvan, and he's really nice. He also lives like really close to me, so it's really nice to be able to like still see him around and connect with him. And so I'd say like it honestly depends. I know my sister's applying this year, and so like because she knows about the program before, and so she applied pretty early. So like she's getting her application done now. When I was applying, I'd say I took like 3 weeks maybe. It just takes longer because you have to ask for your teacher's recommendations and to connect with all your teachers to make sure they're okay with it, as well as like your principal and your school counselor as well. But otherwise, I'd say 3 weeks is pretty good. But honestly, it just depends on like how much you want to work every day, or like how long it takes for people to get back to you.
I can also talk a little more on that question as well because I applied to both the Senate and House Page program. So I would say I actually turned my application in the day it was due for the Senate Page program, and I got accepted. The Senate Page program application is a lot more lengthy than the House Page program. Having to do both it took me about, I could say, 2 weeks, because there's, I think on the Senate Page application, there's 2 essay questions, a short answer and a long answer. I think I had 3 letters of recommendation, and there's so much paperwork you have to do. In the House, I think it's like 1 essay, and you have to get a delegate to sponsor you, I'm pretty sure. And I got Delegate Kilgore to write me a letter. So it took me so long to finish both of those, but thankfully I got accepted into the Senate Page program because I was a little worried that I wasn't going to get accepted because how short I turned in mine on Halloween, which was the deadline. So I was like really freaked out, but I'm really thankful that everything went good.
All right, you guys got a couple questions here. Grayson Parsley says, do you still use any of the skills that you learned during the program in your daily life?
I think I could take this one. When I was at the page program, I just really learned how to like speak with adults and how to be like super respectful, because you have to have so much respect for your delegates, all of them, because they're just so like they're so important. They're also just so sweet and genuine, so you want to share the same respect back to them. And so I've found that it's really easy to like talk in an interview setting and stuff like that because I've had so much experience at the page program.
Yeah, I also
I
learned,
can
like, having to live by a schedule, like, having to wake up at a certain time every day, and I can't be late because I can't be late, and I can't leave early, and, like, I have to have lunch at a certain time, I can't just eat whenever I want. Those are, like, things that I had to adapt to, but, like, after the program, I found that, like, living by a schedule was, like, more effective for me, and so I found that to be, like, a useful skill that I had to learn.
Too. One big thing that the PAGE program taught me was to be more of a proactive student. I've always been a pretty good student, but being in the PAGE program with having to do your work asynchronous really taught me how to be proactive and to take charge of my schoolwork and certain things in my life. And, you have to be so disciplined when you're a PAGE too with the things you say, being bipartisan and all of that, which you when you're a minor, you don't really have but so many opinions on those things, but you develop them at a certain age. And being in the PAGE program and having to be so disciplined has helped with learning when to say certain things politically and when not to. Um, for the Senate page, I think it helped me be more organized because we have this big red binder that we have when you're a Senate page, and it has, I think it had the Virginia. It was like a bunch of papers and everything. We also had homework every night, and it taught me how to have things on time and be organized because I was already organized. But living on your own, it's so much different than living at home with like a parent. And I have a twin brother, so I have someone else to help me out. But just living on your own and knowing how to do stuff and being organized, it just helped me a lot.
um being living like in the Omni Hotel, it taught me how to have a daily schedule, daily routine on every morning of being able to wake up and balance my work schedule and things I do out of school. And the PAGE program, it taught me a lot about balancing that, working with my teachers to be able to balance it, and talking to different adults to get help on stuff that I needed to work on a day-to-day basis.
That sounds like the same part of trying to be a delegate, helping you get on top of your things. You guys have another question here from Lucy Clarence who said, how did being away from your home affect your social life?
I can answer this one from a Senate page perspective because we don't have our phones on us. When you're a Senate page, you're not allowed to have your phone on you, and the only time you are is during dinner and for 30 minutes in the morning because I take it every single night. And so having a social life was very, very hard because you can't talk to anyone except people that are pages. So I would always try to like make plans with my friends over the weekend when I would come home. But I live in Southwest Virginia, which was about 5 hours away from Richmond. So I would usually be really tired, but a lot of my friends were really accepting about me being a Senate page and kind of like helped with it. But it was so hard because I had like a certain time I would text my friends. And when I wouldn't have my phone on me some nights, like for example, the House for Senate basketball game was a night that we were not allowed to have our phones at all the entire day. And I think the dinner when we went to the governor's mansion, we weren't allowed to have our phones there either. So the entire day I didn't have my phone. I couldn't text my parents, my friends, or anything. So it was really hard, but all my friends were really accepting about how I was a page, and everything at the end was really good, but it was really difficult.
I actually didn't know that about the Senate page program because as a House page, we are allowed to have our phones. I mean, you aren't supposed to bring them to your jobs during the day or on the Senate floor, but you can have them like in the cabinet and you'll be able to get them before dinner and you are allowed to have them all night and during study hall for emails and whatever. And so I feel like it's different to be away from your friends, but it's still you can connect with them and you can tell them like funny stories from your day that you think that they would like, and you can call them at night. And so it was difficult, but it was certainly easier than if you were to be a Senate page.
Yes, we only had our phones. So, in the morning at 6:30 a.m., our chaperones would open the door and let us pick up our phones, and we had to be outside of our hotel room at 7:20. And so I could say that little like
50-minute period, we could have our phones, and I would get my roommate, who was Mira Mazari. That was my roommate. I'd always get her at 6:30 to go get her phones in the chaperone's room. And then there's 2 groups to walk to the Capitol, Group A and Group B. And if you were in Group A, you would walk to the Capitol, and as soon as you got there, you would turn in your phone in this box. And then if you're in Group B, you could sit in the hotel lobby and just kind of mess with it until you went to the Capitol. So during your workday, you were not allowed to have it, and they would put it in this box and lock it up so no one could access it. And then at the end of the day, you were allowed to come pick it up, and you would have it during dinner, which was 2 hours. And then before study hall, you had to put it back away. So I only could text my friends during dinner, but I really wanted to hang out with my Senate friends. So it was kind of hard, but everything was good at the end. So
I can add on to that a little bit. So for the 2022 class, we didn't have pages for 2021, so they skipped a year and then came back. So we did have phone restrictions. We had those little pocket holders where you have a number and put our phones in every day. It was definitely harder because usually when we're at school and things, they're kind of a little bit more lenient on phones, get them during lunch and things like that. For us, we got them at the end of the day, and we had them overnight and things like that. So it wasn't really, really strict, but it was also definitely something to adjust to. I found myself being able to connect more with my people that were at the Capitol at the moment. So it made me appreciate to live more in the moment instead of texting friends from home, even though I saw them a lot on the weekends. And when coming back to school, it was definitely a really rewarding experience to see all of my friends again. But definitely during my time at the Capitol, I definitely try to value more of other pages and being able to look at being able to experience Richmond as well, because it's also a new place. So it was really rewarding to be able to live in Richmond and be able to appreciate their city, as well as being able to be with page friends, and then being able to come home and see all my other friends was also really rewarding as well.
Yeah, I would say the program, it seems long, 9 weeks seems like a really long time, but it goes by really quickly. And so, I think during the program, just being able to hang out with the other pages and getting to know Richmond and everyone around you is really rewarding, and is something that I focused on, because the program, it really just did go by really quickly. And when I got back home, everything still went back to normal, and I still had the friends that I had before I left the program. And so during the program, I say I just really tried to focus on getting to know everyone and having fun with them. Okay, I think those are all the questions. Um, does anyone want to add anything?
I might just add that the page program is an experience that if you get in, it's a once in a lifetime experience. And no matter what happens, the people you're with for those 7 or 9 weeks it's a very special moment. And you don't necessarily realize how nothing else will be the same as that until it's over. And so you just if you do get to go, just enjoy every minute, and then you'll be able to return home and everything will all be the same. And so just enjoy the people you meet and the places you go and the things you get to do.
Yeah, so if you're between the ages of 13 or 14, you should definitely apply for the Senate and House program. The House application is due Monday, October 16th at 5 p.m., and then the Senate one is due October 20th. And if you're older than 13 or 14, you can also consider applying for the U.S. Senate page program. That one's really similar to the Virginia page program, so you can look into that. And we also have that in our link tree.
You guys got one more question. What was your favorite activity or field trip?
Okay, I think my favorite activity or field trip was definitely between the Capitol Classic basketball game and going to the governor's mansion. or going to the Bible study. So we had a Bible study every Tuesday night. It was a select few house pages that formed a group, and we got invited to Governor Youngkin's Bible study one Wednesday morning. And I think that that was probably my favorite experience, to be able to be in a setting with somebody so high in political power and without any press or anything, and just themselves. It wasn't like Governor Youngkin, it was Glenn Youngkin. And it was just so cool throughout the page program to be able to be with certain politicians that weren't doing their job at certain times, and they were just themselves, and you got to interact with certain people who had power over the state of Virginia that didn't want to always talk about politics, that wanted to form a relationship with you outside of what they do for a living. So that was probably my favorite thing and the most sentimental activity that I did.
One of my favorite activities that we haven't really touched on yet is the House page debate and the Senate page debate, where every page gets to make their own bill and then put it through committee, just like the delegates do every day. And so you write your bill, you put it into formatting so it looks just like an actual House or Senate bill. Then you send it through committees of your peers, and they vote on it to see if you can send it to that page debate or if it's not going to work. And then one day you get to sit in the chamber in your delegate seat and present your bill, and everyone gets to vote on everyone's bill. And you can see if your bill would make it past the House and the Senate and be like a real bill. It's really amazing. And while we were doing it, actually, Governor Youngkin came in to talk to us, and we had to pause session. And he came and he gave us like a speech about how we're like future leaders of America. And it was really, really great.
Yeah, I think my favorite activity might have been the page debate, because I got to be speaker of the House for the page debate, and it was an experience. It's different. It's something like you don't get to experience often. It's like a once in a lifetime thing, and being speaker itself was extremely fun. Getting to talk and feeling like you're in the high chair and you're at the top basically. And it's just one of those things that you just have a good time with, but it feels like you're actually working as if you were a delegate, and it makes you kind of think of, oh, what if I became a delegate? Is this how it would be? Like, is this kind of how it feels to work as a delegate, writing a bill or working with others to write the bill? So I think that was definitely my favorite activity, and it was I definitely learned something out of the activity the most.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed the page debate. It was funny because the pages and delegates, we basically switched roles, and so the delegates became pages and we became delegates. And so we could just like we would be able to press our page button and like ask delegates to come and get us like snacks and whatever we wanted. So that was really funny. But I also really liked the basketball game. That was the game. It was between the delegates and the senators, and so we got to make cheers and like we got to choreograph a dance and learn a dance for the game. And I thought that was really fun because it was like a break from our work. It would be like a great break from our work day where we would just get to like do cheers and like practice them. And also we were able to like decorate ourselves and like put glitter all over ourselves and just get really like into the spirit of the game. And that was really fun.
I hope my microphone's working because my camera's not working. But my favorite activity, I think my first year, it was the page debate because I was elected to be clerk of the House, and it was really fun getting to plan the whole thing. And then this year, I would say the basketball game because I think Sonia talked about this. I don't know, I really couldn't hear, but we act as cheerleaders for the delegates and the senators. So the House pages cheer for the House, Senate pages cheer for the Senate, and we have a cheering competition to get this trophy. And usually the Senate pages win, but this year we won for like the first time in 5 years, which was really amazing.
And about the Capital Classic basketball game this year, Sonia and I actually were the choreographed a dance routine for the first ever time in House page history, and I'm pretty sure that might be half the reason why we won the Spirit Award.
They tried to teach y'all. They tried to cheat y'all, but you guys stood your ground and said no. I think that's amazing.
Okay. I think that was the last question. It's also time is also almost up. So if anyone has any last questions, they can put it in the chat and we'll answer it real quick. Yeah, so the last thing I'm gonna reiterate is if you want to apply for the program, you still have time, and you can scan the QR code and contact us, and we can help you get started and also walk you through the application. But yeah, good luck to everyone applying.